Death is a terrible thing, but sometimes it can be downright hilarious. Welcome to Listpedia. Join us as we count down the top 10 funniest movie deaths. Number 10. Boba Fett. Since the first movie premiered back in 1977, Star Wars has been hugely popular. This year, fans flocked to see The Force Awakens. But it was in Return of the Jedi that the death of a fan favorite, Boba Fett, caused more laughter than sorrow. Blind Han Solo waves a pole around trying to fend off the Fett, managing to impact his jetpack. Fett's screams can be heard as he ridiculously shoots off out of control. He continues down a rock face and ends up being eaten by a sarlacc. Number 9. Zoolander's Friends. Every time you hear the song, Wake Me Up Before You Go Go, this scene should immediately come to mind.
Wake me up before you go go.
It involves not just one death, but 3, in an absolutely hilarious manner. When Zoolander starts to think that maybe there's more to life than just being
really ridiculously good looking.
his friends, Brent, Mikas, and Rufus, decide to take him on a trip to get an orange mocha frappuccino. It is when they stop for gas that the carnage starts. The four jump about, a water fight turns into a gasoline fight. Zoolander watches on as Brent lights his cigarette, blowing the trio up. Number 8. Dr. Kananga. In every new James Bond, the MI6 agent faces multiple life or death situations. Sometimes he has to rely on his secret spy gadgets to save himself. In Live and Let Die, Bond is facing off with Dr. Kananga in his underground lair. The two struggle, tumbling into the shark tank. But Kananga's death doesn't come from the sharks. Bond shoves a compressed air pellet into Kananga's mouth, causing him to inflate to incredibly unrealistic proportions. Bond finishes with the quip.
Well, he always did have an inflated opinion of himself.
Number 7. Cohaagen. This funny death comes from the 1990 sci-fi action movie Total Recall, which could actually be considered a comedy if you think about it. Arnold Schwarzenegger pushes the baddie, Cohaagen, out onto the surface of Mars. After a very long fall, the real hilarity ensues. Without any protective clothing or breathing apparatus, Cohaagen's body begins to boil. Blood pours from every orifice, and his eyes pop out of his head. It would all be rather horrific and gruesome if it wasn't so preposterous. Number 6. Marvin. Quentin Tarantino's 1994 Pulp Fiction was a real head-turner, with some really messed up scenes. While driving, Samuel L. Jackson and John Travolta are discussing Jackson's decision to retire. Travolta turns to ask Marvin, played by Phil Lamar, who is in the back seat, what he thinks. If only he didn't have a loaded gun in his hand. The gun goes off, shooting Marvin's face right off.
Stop it. Oh, man.
Travolta then tries to justify accidentally shooting Marvin.
Chill out, man. I told you it was an accident. You went over a bump.
Number 5. Patches O'Houlihan. Dodgeball, a true underdog story, is a funny movie, but this death takes the cake. The movie follows a ragtag team of dodgeball players, desperate to win and save their gem. Teaching them the skill of the game was Patches O'Houlihan. Just when the team, called the Average Joes, thinks things are starting to go right, Patches is killed. Already wheelchair-bound, one moment Patches was rolling through the casino. Poor old Patches. Godspeed, brother. Godspeed. Number 4. Farah. This death is from the 1973 Turkish movie Karate Girl, no relation to the Karate Kid. The movie follows Zeynep, who loses everything when prison fugitives kill her father and take the money she needs for an operation. Zeynep is fighting Farah, one of the fugitives. After a ridiculous fight, Zeynep shoots Farah. Not only is there no bullet hole, but there is a blood packet visible in Farah's hand. The slow motion makes the scene even funnier. Then there's another shot. Another. And another. Each one throwing Farah around the room as he continues to scream. This death has spawned numerous spoof videos on YouTube. Number 3. Mike. The 2010 horror comedy movie Tucker and Dale vs. Evil is filled with plenty of funny moments, but the death of Mike is downright hilarious. Mike finds Tucker feeding wood into a wood chipper and attempts to ambush him. Unfortunately for Mike, Tucker doesn't even notice him and moves out of the way to grab another branch. Mike goes headfirst into the chipper, and despite Tucker trying to save him, Mike ends up dying a gruesome yet hilarious death.
Are you okay?
And of course, the blood splatter goes all over poor Chloe. Number 2. Thunder. The plot for Big Trouble in Little China is preposterous, but it is the death of Thunder that takes it to a whole other level. Many have fantasized about the death of their boss, but this guy was so upset by the death of his master that he went and committed seppuku. But not seppuku in the traditional sense of stabbing yourself. He instead inflated to gigantic proportions and exploded. Perhaps he ate a bit too much Chinese? His guts blow everywhere, but thankfully the heroes make it to safety in time. And our number 1 funniest movie death, King Harold. Even kids' movies have funny death scenes, and this one comes from Shrek the Third. King Harold, Fiona's father, who is also a frog by the way, imagine that family reunion. Hey, it's Frog, it's an ogre, is on his tiny deathbed. The king is telling everyone who will take the throne after him, and every time they think he is croaked, he talks again.
The Frog King is dead.
Making the sad scene actually funny. The comedic moments are interspersed with serious dialogue, making them stand out even more.
This kingdom needs a new king.
Voiced by the one and only John Cleese, we almost expect him to make some sort of inappropriate joke or yell for Manuel. For more great top 10 videos, be sure to subscribe to Listpedia.